What have you learned about using the scales as a method to monitor your changes in weight?
The scale is a wonderful tool in telling how much you weigh and how much you've lost, but it also can be major bondage. And I was in major bondage to the scale. When I was losing weight, I weighed at least once a day. And that's foolish because your body is fluctuating all the time. You don't need to be weighing all the time. But I did, and eventually God brought me to a point where I needed to just get off the scale, and every once in a while I weigh, but that's not an emphasis anymore at all. But what I found about the scale is that no matter what the scale said, it often tempted me to eat. If I had gained weight, I was depressed and wanted to eat. If I hadn't lost any weight and thought I'd done really good that week, that made me want to eat. And if I'd lost weight, I wanted to celebrate. So to me, the scale can be as detrimental as a lot of other things. So you need to be really careful with the scale, that you use it for what its purpose is, obviously, to tell you how much you weigh, and use that as a tool. But don't use it as your, to bring you your acceptance or your joy or your reward because you've lost weight. Because the scale is not where it's at. God is, and He wants to give you that acceptance. Your acceptance is not in losing weight. It's in who God is and what He thinks about you. And so you need to be really careful of the scale. I know that I had to learn to kind of let it go.
How have you learned to seek the Lord in every area of your life?
I think this is the greatest part of all of this, because when I had so much weight to lose, I was so food focused, I found that I needed God to help me to find hunger. I needed Him to help me to find when I was satisfied. But I also needed to run to Him all day long, because when I didn't need to eat was when I needed to run to Him. And so the more that I ran to Him with all those eating occasions and not eating occasions, I found that I depended on Him, then started depending on Him for other things too. And I think that's what this is all about. We talk about the abundant life that Jesus spoke of in John 10:10. The abundant life is depending upon Him moment by moment, all day long. And the reason that Thin Within and this whole idea of asking God to help you with your eating so you can lose weight, the reason that it's so important is the abundant life is what we're seeking. And if you're seeking Him out all day long about food, then He's going to become a natural part of everything that you do. How much you sleep, what your thoughts are, what your response is to situations and people around you, how much money you spend. Everything is affected because you've learned to depend on Him for something so basic as eating. It's interesting because we talk about grace, and grace is absolutely essential in all of this. And we couldn't have a relationship with God without grace, and we couldn't. He enables us through grace, but we do have to decide if we're going to be different. And obviously, if we have an eating problem, we're going to have to change. We're going to have to do things differently, or we're going to stay the same, or we're going to get bigger. And yes, it requires costly choices that are often, usually are not what we want. But when we do decide that we're going to do what we know is best for our bodies and what God wants, then the rewards are huge. And making those choices of saying, am I going to eat this when I know that my body is done? Or am I going to say, God, I'm willing to do what I know you want me to? There were times when that was so difficult, even though that seems like such a simple thing. It was so difficult. But when I made that choice that time, the next time, it wasn't quite as hard. And it got to the point where I didn't even have to think about it anymore. So, but you have to take baby steps. It's not something you can just do overnight. You start eating 0 to 5 and you never have a question about food. No, it's those little bitty times when you say, do I need to eat this other potato chip? Or do I need to have that one more bite. No, I don't. I could do without it and I'll be fine. And you know, that's when I get up from the table and just walk away and as light as can be, because I feel so great that God has empowered me to do something that before was absolutely impossible. But it was a choice. It was something that I had to decide to do through His power. He gave me the want to because of His grace, because of what He's done. I want to do what He wants me to do. And as a result, then I can make those choices, and then He lavishes me with His blessings.